A topical steroid, that steroid cream abuse that India has gone through, there is a new organism. The name of the fungus, if you hear, as a patriotic Indian, you'll feel terrible. It's named after our country. It's called...
Some dermatologists themselves training some unprofessional staff to take up these kind of activities.
The thing about the Kerala hair transplantation complication case, so let's say you're the patient and you come to me and I'm telling you I will do the hair transplant, but that day I'm not around. Somebody else is doing. That's a ghost doctor or a ghost surgeon. Do not train these unqualified people. Do not lend your certificates to these kind of places.
Usage of steroid become addictive, and when it becomes addictive, what is our long-term impact?
Some of these people might not completely recover. There will be some irreversible damage like the stretch marks on the body. What happens in addiction is that when they stop applying it, they start getting redness and burning and itching. But sometimes these people, they tend to go back to the steroid cream. It's almost like some drug addict or an alcohol addict. They know it's bad for them.
They're opening up beautiful clinics with proper AC facilities, proper treatment facilities. And then like a commoner and an ordinary citizen, how can we find the differential?
So it is the rule in India that every doctor needs to have their registration number mentioned on their prescription. So remember, every authentic doctor is going to put, without being asked, put their medical council registration number. It is the rule. If they are not displaying it, that means you've got to be suspicious.
Welcome to the Honest Hour, Dr. Rajetha Damisetty, ma'am. Now, especially, with this Instagram reels or, social media pressure, this body dysmorphia as a phenomena is now growing manifold, especially in teenagers, not only teenagers, even in adults.
Even in adults.
Yeah. So, body dysmorphia and this kind of social media pressure which is created, how should a dermatologist, from a dermatologist perspective, how do you look at these things? What has to be done specifically for this? And as you have quoted, because of this body dysmorphia, people might end up taking some deviant activities.
Absolutely.
Right?
So there's something known as Snapchat dysmorphia. That's a proper word. And then, so in COVID, we started looking at our own faces on Zoom. And then we developed Zoom dysmorphia, we meaning, a lot of people did develop that.
That's a reality.
So for a dermatologist who is faced with a situation where, earlier people would bring a celebrity's photograph and they would say, I'd like my lips to be like this, or my eyebrow to be like this.
I want Priyanka Chopra's lips, I want Samantha's eyes.
Those are gone. Those are gone now. Now they come with a filtered version of themselves and then they say, I'd like to look like this. But we need to tell them that for a person to look like that. Now, when you're faced with multiple exposures of beautiful people, men, women, both, with perfect facial and body structure, you have to remember that they have an army of people to make them look that way. Cindy Crawford, a supermodel in the 90s when I was growing up, had said that for me to look like Cindy, for her to look like Cindy Crawford, takes an army of people and 3-4 hours of work and great lighting and photography. So even Cindy Crawford won't wake up looking like Cindy Crawford that we know.
Absolutely.
So this is something that we dermatologists need to sit and tell our patients that what you're seeing is somebody's highlighted version versus your morning face at 7 a.m. after a sleepless night. So it's not a fair comparison and even that person will not always look like that.
Absolutely.
So
but the problem over here, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
The celebrities also, they don't tell the actual processes that they're following or, the actual, activities that they take up to maintain the skincare.
Absolutely.
So that also indirectly is misguiding the viewers and then ultimately having a very significant bad impact on the youngsters, specifically teenagers these days.
Absolutely. So, you have these Hollywood celebrities who say, obviously, it's a Botoxed face and you've had a lot of health. And they tell you they're eating right and putting olive oil on their skin. By the way, olive oil actually can damage skin barrier incidentally. That's just a tidbit that I thought I should tell you. So, and these poor things who are watching on social media, they believe all this. And especially the youngsters, the gullible, the naive. So you cannot believe everything that you see or hear on social media or in fact anywhere else. So you need to be taking everything with a pinch of salt and remember that a lot of people are using body filters these days, not just facial filters.
True.
So, and regarding skin color, and skin color is such a big obsession with our people.
Yes.
So it's just sad, and all this social media hype is only making things worse.
True that.
So nowadays, even an average looking person is not going to be happy with the way they look, because they're constantly being compared with all these extraordinarily beautiful people who have a lot of help.
True that, ma'am. So like it is, apt that they need to consult a dermatologist rather than going for the social media influencer kind of brands or social media influencer kind of suggestions. And another problem with this is they try to follow those celebrities, and as you said, there is something like before and after phenomena by influencers. Or they say that so and so celebrity is using this product. Now that's how the corporates sell their products. And people are ending up buying those products and having side effects for the same.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No, the problem is that this, first of all, at least when a celebrity is endorsing a brand, let's say Shah Rukh Khan was endorsing Fair and Handsome, nobody actually believed that he was using Fair and Handsome, though I don't know if you know this, he got sued for it.
Yes, true that.
So, but when you have a very good looking non-celebrity or skin influencer who's endorsing, a lot of people don't understand that it is a paid collaboration. They think that this is something organic.
Rightly pointed.
And in India...
And they do not know that they are being paid for it.
Absolutely.
Like, see, the influencer must have taken 2 lakhs or 1 lakh for for endorsing the product. Now, these people are gullible and they revere their influencers and they just follow.
And they also need to understand that even if it actually worked for that person, how would it work for this other person who's got a different genetic makeup and genetic skin, different skin and different, requirements and age and weather conditions maybe and, and lifestyle.
But sadly, the reality is, ma'am, rather than a person or a doctor with a 20-year experience, people are believing a 20-year-old with 1 million followers.
Absolutely.
It's a sad reality of today.
It's sad. And it is sad only for the person who's following that. Because, when my junior colleagues asked me about this, that, I'm getting queries about some random new product or some random new treatment that somebody has released in Taiwan, and it is curing baldness. Recently there was that kind of a thing. So then I say, don't take it too seriously. Just tell them it's baseless, and that's how I deal with it.
Yes.
And my patients also know that they say, doctor, do you think there's any worth in it? And I say no. And that's it. No is a sentence. So I'm not going to waste my time on it. But when you're young and you're trying hard to build your practice, you're trying too hard sometimes, and then you end up wasting a lot of time. But one strong message that I hope the viewers will take away is, please understand, if somebody is selling something, they have a vested interest.
That sums up.
It is a basic common sense matter there. So if they are selling you something, then why are you going to, the way you would believe Shah Rukh Khan when he was selling you Fair and Handsome is the way you should be believing all these influencers who are marketing various sunscreens and products and cooking oils and whatnot.
True that, ma'am. Any kind of crazy demand from a patient that you can remember, ma'am?
Crazy demand? Of course, the pre-weddings, the brides come, wedding is a week away, have terrible acne, they want flawless skin in a week, or they want fair, spotless skin in a week. Those kind of things we keep getting.
Talking about that, ma'am, I was eventually going to come to it. Now this wedding glow, the neighborhood auntie will be telling, like this beauty salon, you go there, spend 5,000, you'll be getting a tremendous glow. Permanent makeups, wedding glows, etc. Over here, most of the times, what happens is the client is being misdirected. Instead of going to a dermatologist, now what happens is they'll say, if I go to a dermatologist, they're not actually giving what I require. Now you'll be suggesting some medical procedures. You're not giving what the client requires. That is why they go to this kind of beauty salons, etc.
So, this wedding industry in India is such a big deal. And for you want to go get some makeup done, you want to get some eyebrow shaping done, then that's great. But for skin treatment, how would you want to go to a beautician? I mean, it's It's a basic thing. But one of the scary things that happens is a lot of these parlors, particularly those fly-by-night kind of ones, or not those branded ones, they have these unlabeled creams, which can be sold.
Most of them are unlabeled.
Unlabeled creams, which are sold from 200 rupees in Old City to 5,000 rupees in Jubilee Hills.
True.
Many of them have steroids.
Yes.
Because when you start using them initially, you get a glow, you start getting fair, and then after 1 month, you start seeing some side effects, and then by the time you are 2 months down, you are hooked onto it, you are addicted, because if you stop it, you look worse, but if you continue it also, you will no longer have the glow. So this is something that's fairly common. There was something called pearl cream that I had myself reported, because we saw a lot of
shiny
patients.
white thing, right?
So it had this yellow, slight turmeric kind of a color at that one point of time. I don't know if it's still being sold the same way. So we saw a lot of patients who had these side effects which seemed like they were using steroids. And then I ordered one, I got it tested, I reported it long back when Dr. Akun Sabharwal was the director of the FDA in Telangana, and then it was almost like movie style.
True.
There was a raid and there were arrests, and the place was closed down. Later on, of course, they reopened and they started selling it without the steroid for a while. So I kept testing it for almost 2-3 years, and after that I just kind of lost track. Got involved in other quackery battles, anti-quackery battles.
Yeah, what are the harmful effects of steroids in fairness creams, ma'am?
So one, initially there will be thinning of skin, which is thinning.
Okay.
And in the long run, there can be something called irreversible atrophy. That is so much of depletion of collagen that your blood vessels will become like prominent red streaks.
Achha.
And they can be excess hair. And they can be on the body, if you use it, they can be such horrible stretch marks, which are not just whitish or slightly reddish, but purplish. So and you will become prone to viral infections, bacterial infections, fungal infections. In fact, because of the horrible topical steroid, that steroid cream abuse that India has gone through, there is a new organism, a new fungus which had emerged, and the name of the fungus, if you hear, as a patriotic Indian, you will feel terrible. It's named after our country. It's called Indotheniae.
A fungus is named after India.
Trichophyton Indotheniae is something that was, of course, maybe we should take responsibility for it, because we were the ones, we Indians were the ones who caused it to emerge. And now it's become a public health menace, not in India, but in the US. And the CDC Atlanta has given out notifications and warnings. And we dermatologists in India feel so terrible whenever we hear this name. And we see it flashed across international conferences and in international journals. And imagine somebody is insulting your motherland. How would you? This is an insult basically, but then it's also the reality.
It's a sad reality.
It is a sad reality,
which we have brought upon to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Now, what is the recovery time, ma'am? Somebody who's undergone steroid abuse, like I've seen many people around me as well, like my friends or relatives.
Yeah.
They have become addictive.
Yes.
Can the usage of steroid become addictive? And when it becomes addictive, what is the long-term impact per se? And when can you actually get the recovery from the substance?
So some of these people might not completely recover. There will be some irreversible damage, like the stretch marks on the body, and certain skin changes like premature aging, which are irreversible. But generally the symptoms, like what happens in addiction is that when they stop applying it, they start getting redness and burning and itching. So that process may take up to 2-3 months under a good dermatologist care. But sometimes these people, they tend to go back to the steroid cream. It's almost like some drug addict or an alcohol addict. They know it's bad for them. Still, that is the hallmark of addiction.
It becomes a pattern actually.
It is a pattern.
Like, when they don't put it, they feel like there's something they're missing out on.
Basically,
psychologically also, it's like they're not confident when they don't put it across.
They're not. In fact, a lot of people say that, I know this is bad for me, but then I had this event to attend. So just for 3-4 days, I wanted to use it. They knew. See, initially they didn't know. But later on, once they knew also, because that is the hallmark of addiction.
And we also see people transforming suddenly. These days it is available for 150 rupees, 100 rupees in the small bottles. And what, skin peeling away, etc. So what is the kind of impact that is going to have on overall health per se, not just the skin?
Overall health, see, these peeling agents can sometimes even cause death. There was a death reported in Brazil in 2024 because of a peel. So, and kidney failures also can happen. Kidney failure, because if you start applying it on, you have a little bottle, you put it on your face and neck, then you put it on the arms and legs. All this is going to get absorbed eventually. And severe burns, scarring, infections, you put it near the eyes, then there can be something called an ectropion, where, the eyelid would remain like this. So a lot of irreversible damage can happen. So these are, it's like doing a surgery at home.
Also one lady suffered with this kind of abuse. It was reported in the newspapers.
I'm sure.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. You spoke about this wedding kind of pressure which is created with the skin industry or the derma industry. Now, do you see any differences in the class, cutting across rural and urban areas? Is it same in both the rural and urban areas, or this phenomena is more specific in urban areas?
With social media being such an equalizer, I think the difference, gap is closing up. And from lower middle class, this thing is starting off. But I have only practiced in an urban setting, so I would not be able to tell you anything about the proper heartland of India. But thanks to all these Instagram reels, everybody has become, it has these aspirations. Like if a certain celebrity is looking a certain way and is wearing a certain thing and has certain makeup for her wedding, then they all want skin like that and, clothes like that.
True. Let's say a father comes up to you and say, fix my daughter, her wedding is in 6 months. So what, as a woman and as a doctor, what is the kind of pressure that you feel? What is the emotional weight that you feel?
So especially if it is, if they have some skin problem, let us say they have acne, they have some pigmentary concern. 6 months is mostly very adequate to treat it. But if you bring an absolutely normal girl and then you want to make her fair so that her valuation in the marriage market is going to increase. That's how it is.
That's how they say, in the marriage market. They say, if you become fair or you look beautiful, we'll get you an NRI chap, or, somebody, a successful doctor as a groom, etc.
So for women, it's mostly skin color and weight. For men, it's hair. So even the men are not spared from this,
These days, even men are also vying for the skin color.
Yes, that also is there, but not as much.
Yes.
Of course, that is there.
Many times the skin color is also to deal with the kind of confidence. Sometimes even jobs are given based on skin color.
Absolutely, especially if it is something like a front desk job, then absolutely. Not skin color, overall attractiveness. Now, this is still the colonial hangover that we have, the British have left more than 70 years ago, but then their impact on our psyche has not gone, and I don't think it's going to go away at all. And it's just sad, as a dermatologist and as a woman, when somebody does this, then I do my best to tell my patients. Yesterday, I had a 10-year-old child. 10-year-old child. She had something called atopic eczema. And I gave her a prescription. Then her mom said, "Doctor, do you think we can do anything about her skin color?" Then I kind of was quite shocked. Then the father and the mother said that, the reason we are asking is not because of is because of the child's desire, because the parents were relatively fairer than the child. Then she had such a beautiful wheatish complexion, and I told her a few things, and I told her how in the West people are risking skin cancer to get a tan. And we are risking all kinds of side effects to get fair. And how there is nothing like true fairness without paying a price in terms of side effects. See, all of us are born with a certain skin color, which is the color of your inner round, which is never sun exposed. And fairer than that, if you are getting a skin color that's fairer than that, then that means somewhere some risk is there, some side effect you are going to encounter. It's a terrible idea. So my staff is strictly instructed, in case somebody says, "Do you have fairness treatments?" The answer is no. We do not. We actively discourage fairness treatments. We want good skin, healthy skin. That need not be fair skin. Who says fair skin is better?
They don't ask for a healthy skin. They ask for a fair skin. That's the problem.
In their minds, fair skin is equivalent to healthy skin for some strange reason.
Which is a complete misnomer.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yes, ma'am. Like talking about fairness or the skincare, etc., and steroids also, what you have spoken about. Now there are the poor people who cannot afford treatment.
Yes.
So whatever steroids that they're getting OTC, over the counter, or whatever some neighbor is telling them, they're following it.
Yes.
Now the rich can afford to come to a dermatologist, buy expensive medicines, expensive treatment, right? And then we have the middle class.
Yeah.
So they get influenced by influencers or TV advertisements, etc. So as a dermatologist and a doctor, what would you suggest them? And did you see this kind of differential class, the class differential?
I certainly have. So I'll give you a example from very close to home. I had this girl who was my son's nanny when he was a baby. And 2 years ago, she came to visit me. And I saw that her skin was totally spoiled. And then I realized she was slightly on the darker side. And she was using a cream called My Fair, which is the name of the cream is My Fair, and it has a steroid called mometasone.
Okay.
Now, this mometasone containing combination is not there in any country in the world except India. Not Bangladesh, not Nepal, not our poor neighbors like Sri Lanka has them. Only we have it, and these were being sold in a pawn shop in her place. She comes from a village, and she. Actually, by the time she came to me, she had spent 5,000 rupees on treatment from a dermatologist from a nearby town. And then finally, she gave up and she came to me. She traveled all the way to Hyderabad from a village near Rajahmundry. And for her, she was a domestic help. 5,000 rupees is a lot of money for her. So, we're not talking about lower middle class. We're talking about below that. So we have this kind of a differential thing. So the rich people will get away. They will not fall prey to this. They are smarter than that. It is only the lower middle class or, even the ones who are economically backward who will suffer the worst side effects.
True. Like coming
Though that said, I recently had a patient who had paid 3.5 lakhs.
3.5 lakhs
for her melasma treatment. So this is a very beautiful lady in her 50s. She was menopausal, postmenopausal, and she developed this melasma and she was quite depressed about it. And a neighbor told her that you go to this place and they're expensive, but they'll give you results. So she went back to her husband. She said, don't buy me any jewelry for this year and a few years later if you don't want to, but please get me this. And the husband paid for it. Then she became absolutely white after that. And then she started becoming absolutely red and dark after that. And then we realized that we call them telangiectasia. Telangiectasia is broken blood vessels because of steroid-induced thinning of skin. So these kind of things. And she had these nice looking jars, unlabeled, all of them. And they were doing some kind of weird treatment. They called it PRP, but they were not even drawing blood. So what does one say? And this lady obviously made me promise, and of course without her consent, then I can't complain. I can't use her photographs. I can't show them anywhere because she was not, and she was too embarrassed and she was distressed. 3.5 lakhs is a lot of money. So obviously she belonged
toll also.
And she belonged to affluent class. So for us to get her out of the addiction phase only took us 2 months, and then we actually started treatment for her.
Achha. So it's across the classes.
Oh, yeah. So, but it is much more likely that the, economically backward ones will suffer more.
Ma'am, like, as you said, like most of the dermatology, it includes the patients coming with a lot of insecurity. Lot of insecurities, lot of social stigmas that they face.
Absolutely.
Or, sometimes it is socially imposed, sometimes it is self-imposed also. Right. And it is not just the role of the doctor that you play, you also play the role of a counselor.
Absolutely.
Somebody who's counseling the patient. Now, you are here to protect them from insecurities and also cure them. But one major challenge that you might have come across is like, there could be a certain situation, you must have told the patient that they might not require it, or it is not amenable for them to take up such procedures or such kind of treatment or such kind of medicines per se. But still they insist. Now, in that scenario, what do you do?
So if I feel that a patient does not require something or would not do well with that, then I will say no. but I will have to sugarcoat my words because if I say a blanket no, and if it's going to harm them, then they might go to some quack who is readily sitting there, and when there is money on the table, people are ready to do a lot of unethical, unnecessary things.
True that.
So that is why I would try and explain. But there is one tricky situation called body dysmorphic disorder.
Yes.
Body dysmorphic disorder is a condition where there is a flaw which is either real or perceived, but the significance it takes up in their mind is disproportionate.
True
I have a slightly crooked nose.
Some people end up into, depression also. With
Absolutely.
That. Clinical depression.
Clinical depression. It's not uncommon at all.
Yes.
So this is a psychiatric condition. So for a dermatologist to differentiate between who is just a normal person with a slight insecurity about their crooked nose or their, some short chin versus someone who's getting into this pathological, this psychiatric kind of a thing is not easy. So we need to spend that time. So a lot of my young colleagues tell me, I also train dermatologists.
Okay.
So they tell me that, ma'am, if I didn't do it, so let's say the outcome was not great and the patient is not happy, and then they reach out to me and say, now what do I do? And then I ask them, why did you do this? This was not required. And they say, no, if not me, somebody else would have done. The patient wanted it. So the patient...
Many times patients insisted,
Of course.
And they're ready to make the payment. Or, when we reject them, they feel offended also. What is this, ma'am? Why don't I require it? I'm feeling helpless. So, in fact, they're making the doctor feel helpless in that situation.
No, you're so right. And this is such a great question. So, here you will have to spend some time and sometimes buy time. You might not, if you're suspecting a psychiatric kind of thing, you might want to tell them, why don't you use this and come back and we're going to talk about it and we'll work out a good solution. Because, see, as a doctor, I cannot lie. I should not lie to a patient.
Right.
At the same time, giving out the brutal truth in a brutal manner is not the solution.
True.
Because it will not only offend, sometimes it hurts them.
Emotions.
Their emotions. And then they might actually go to the neighborhood quack.
Yes.
So that is why you have to be firm in your belief, take out your time. There are times when we involve the families.
Yes.
So, and Indian families anyway are more than happy to get involved, which might not be a good thing, but in some ways it is a blessing. Our support system can be a blessing.
Yes. And coming to this aspect, ma'am, quackery. What exactly is quackery? What does the term per se mean?
Yeah.
And legally and morally, what is it?
So, quackery, as per the Supreme Court of India, is a person who lacks a particular medical qualification and training, but is pretending to have that and is doing the things that a qualified person should do. So, let us say I am a dermatologist, but if I am going to do open heart surgery, now I am not trained to do open heart surgery. I am not trained or qualified to call myself a cardiothoracic surgeon. So if I do that, then you can call me a quack.
Yes.
So the same way, if there is a BAMS person and this person has done some online course for some 1 week or 10 weeks or 6 months or whatever, and then they call themselves and they have the right to have the prefix DR.
Yes.
Doctor so-and-so, cosmetologist, they call themselves, and they want to do some filler or they want to do some chemical peel or do a laser for pigment or treat melasma with whatever medical treatment and certain topicals and all. So that is quackery. So it is a legally punishable offense, and morally and ethically this is fraud. I mean, why should you claim to be someone who you're not, and how can you cheat people, put their health at risk?
Right.
So in 2024 November, one engineer in Kanpur died.
Yes.
He died 3 days after he had a hair transplant by one person. In March of 2025, another engineer in his 30s died in Kanpur, and his trained transplant also was done by the same doctor. And it turns out that this doctor is actually a BDS dentist. And why should, first of all, a dentist do hair transplant? But these men, they were educated men, by the way.
Yes.
They were both engineers.
Yeah.
And
one was 26-year-old and one was around 30.
31, 34,
Yes.
or 30,
Yeah.
31, 35 or so.
Yeah.
And these were not in some village. Kanpur is a city. It's a
True
big
that.
city in North India.
Yeah.
So these people were fooled into it because this lady called herself Dr. So-and-so cosmetologist, which is why I'm so strongly against this word cosmetology.
Yeah, what exactly is this, ma'am? Like when, as a common man,
Yeah.
what is the difference between a dermatologist and a cosmetologist?
Yeah.
Like many beauty salons also we see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
So
exactly
if a beautician calls herself a cosmetologist, I don't mind, because beauticians and cosmetologists are synonyms. So the government of India has been promoting this as a vocational trade, like how you have the plumbers training and the electricians training, like a polytechnic training, like that they are promoting it. So to get into that training, you have to complete your class 10. Now to become a dermatologist, you have to complete class 12, can study MBBS for 4.5 years, internship for 1 year, that's 5.5, then write entrance, NEET, get into dermatology, then 3 years. So that is 8.5 years of studying post 12th versus 6 months of training post 10th. So that is dermatologist and cosmetologist in comparison. So what can a cosmetologist do? They can cut hair, they can color hair, they can style hair, they can do makeup, they can do nail art, pedicure, facial, waxing. So basically everything a beautician does, that is a cosmetologist. Now the problem comes when my colleagues, dermatologists, start calling themselves dermatologists and cosmetologists, because I believe that we are to blame that some of my colleagues still call themselves dermatologists and cosmetologists. And it's a shame. I don't know why they do it. Sometimes they tell us that, patients won't understand that we also do aesthetic treatments. So then it's your job to tell them, to educate them.
True, ma'am. No, having said that, as a common man, ma'am, when we see the doctor prescription on board, people tend to go and approach them, right? Or a beautiful clinic. Nowadays, this quackery is not just a phenomena restricted to rural areas or, some kind of slum areas. Even in plush areas, like Hyderabad or Delhi or Bangalore for that matter, in like metro cities, they're opening up beautiful clinics with proper AC facilities, proper treatment facilities, doing exceptional marketing, which, doctor might not be doing. And then like a commoner and an ordinary citizen, how can we find the differential? Like just a while ago, you mentioned about the BDS doctors. You also spoke against this practice where BDS doctors or dentists, they are performing several procedures. Even for that matter, the Telangana Medical Council and NMC issued some directives, but still it is prevalent. Right? The Kanpur incident, and also recently in Thiruvananthapuram also. The incident. I mean, it was like a debilitating situation. Right? And many a times the families are not informed. So what are the precautions that a person or their family needs to take before they approach a dermatologist or quote unquote a pseudo dermatologist?
No, this is a very important question. Now, in terms of the ambience of the clinic and all, gone are the days when it was some Jola chap quack. Now is the time for all the very sophisticated, very social media savvy people. And it is social media which has made it such a tough thing, because earlier days, how would a dermatologist's practice be built? By word of mouth.
Right.
And you know that we doctors are prohibited from advertising.
True that.
We are only allowed to give a notice in the newspaper or whatever media when we start a practice, when we go on a long break, or when we come back after a long break, or when we introduce something new, some new facility.
So
but otherwise, we doctors in India are forbidden from endorsing any product. Not just not giving a prescription online, but any product. And we are also forbidden from advertising, from soliciting patients, like saying that, oh, I have this clinic and you please come and visit me. That is soliciting patients. So, and our licenses could be cancelled if we do that. But the problem is, NMC has got 20 posts vacant out of the 28 or so. And there are so many doctors doing this who all are the medical councils going to catch and suspend.
Right.
So I think it is for us doctors to self-regulate,
Yes.
to behave in a manner that befits the dignity of our profession.
It certainly is the kind of awareness which is required.
Yeah. And also patients should understand that if a doctor is, cheaply soliciting patients, they don't want to go there. I mean, that's not a dignified behavior for a doctor, honestly.
True.
Yeah.
And also you see these discount advertisements or kind of.
Imagine Valentine's Day offer and Karva Chauth offer. I mean, I don't know what to say sometimes. So we are actually degrading our profession and degrading ourselves by doing all these things. Now, regarding how does one identify who an authentic doctor is? So, it is the rule in India that every doctor needs to have their registration number mentioned on their prescription. And if you go to the NMC register or whichever state, like we are talking from Telangana, if you go to the Telangana Medical Council website, you put my name and you see a particular registration number, you should see my full name there.
Okay.
And that way the dental council is great. They actually put photographs because somebody else could be sitting in my clinic and claiming that she is Rajitha, and then she could probably be doing the practice, and then there could be another pseudo Rajitha in some other place.
Yes.
Now how does one identify? So number one is registration number. Second is clinic license. Clinic license has to be displayed as per law. Okay. And of course, how do you know whether it is a fake one? It is hard. It is just hard. So one of the
some
things...
kind of government regulation also needs to be in place.
Absolutely. So whenever...
How much can you fight for?
True,
people like you, you also run Derma Activism.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, how much can an individual or an organization do it? You're trying to put in the best of your efforts. But still, I think more importantly, there should be self-regulation from the doctors as well as the patients per se. They need to try to make some rational choices, and also government regulation per se.
Yes.
I think that might...
So few important things.
Yes.
Now, if you are not able to find that person's name in the medical council, but you're finding that name in the dental council, then you know that this person is a dentist.
Yes.
Now, when you go back to this Kanpur incident, would these two engineers have gone to her if they knew she was a dentist and not a dermatologist?
No.
Or, and a lot of people wouldn't know this difference between cosmetology and dermatology, which is why I'm so grateful to you, because you're, people like you are creating some awareness, and I hope the word spreads.
Hopefully, ma'am. But another major phenomenon, ma'am, now that you have mentioned some kind of protocols to be followed, it seems good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, see, let's say I'm a patient. Now, when I go to a doctor, there's a kind of reverence or kind of respect for the doctor. Now, many people even fumble, or they feel very pessimistic to even ask them.
Yes.
So, can I get your certificate?
Yeah.
It is not displayed over here.
Yeah.
Where do I find it? What is your qualification?
Yeah.
I
know. I totally understand.
Yes.
I totally understand what you're saying, and it's a very valid point, because it's almost offensive.
True.
But
they might get offensive. They might be rude also, especially in tier 2 cities or some rural areas. People
it is not done.
For that matter, even over here, in cities also, it becomes difficult for a patient.
It is. Now, which is why you've got to be vigilant. So one simple way is, if you want to go through word of mouth, even this word of mouth, these quacks typically have agents.
They have the propaganda agents.
Propaganda agents, yes.
Right on the streets or even in prominent places also they deploy them.
Yes. So it is very hard. You have to be vigilant. There is no easy way, but there are some QR codes. So just what you can do is, instead of asking the doctor and risking, upsetting the doctor, take the full name and then put it there. Now, this is one strange thing that people go around with their first names. Dr. Deepti. Which Dr. Deepti? Now, unless you are Mr. Chiranjeevi or Mr. Rajnikant or Beyonce or Rihanna, now we all need our full names, because there are many others with similar names. And you will find that a lot of these fake doctors go by their first names.
Right.
And in fact, recently we got a complaint. This is a place near Alwal, where not Alwal, Hayat Nagar. So this clinic was actually shut down 2 years ago because the fake doctor was arrested. Now, same clinic, same fake doctor's name, we got a prescription just 2 days ago. So that means that person is probably out of jail or whatever. He restarted. Can you believe it? And
It's a
then
sorry state of affairs.
it says it's only first name, no initial there, no certificate, no, registration number. So remember, every authentic doctor is going to put, without being asked, put their medical council registration number. It is the rule.
That is part of the rule.
It is part of the rule. If they are not displaying it, that means you've got to be suspicious.
But another phenomena, ma'am, which you have also mentioned in some of your media appearances, some dermatologists themselves are training some unprofessional staff to take up these kind of activities.
So this, the thing about the Kerala hair transplantation complication case was that of a ghost doctor, ghost surgeon. Okay. Ghost surgeon meaning, so let's say you're the patient and you come to me and I'm telling you I will do the hair transplant, but that day I'm not around. Somebody else is doing. That's a ghost doctor or a ghost surgeon. So these kind of things can happen. It is utterly shameful when dermatologist or any qualified person is training someone who's not qualified. But then what do you say about greed? And so one of the things we are trying to do is to dissuade our own members, our Indian Association of Dermatologists members, we call it IADVL, Indian Association of Dermatology, Venereology and Leprology. Okay. So our members have been given advisories saying, do not train these unqualified people. Do not lend your certificates to these kind of places. Now, let's say there's a chain of 7 clinics. Right. And there is one doctor's certificate which was used for all 7 licenses. Right. Now, is this person omnipresent that this person is there in all the clinics? How is it possible that one certificate is used for 7 branches?
That makes sense.
What we need is a centralized system, because our clinical establishment authorities, that is the DM and HO in Telangana, they don't know. Let's say we have 3 branches like Rangareddy and Medchil, Malkajgiri and Hyderabad. Okay. And you might have 2 branches in each and nobody is cross-checking because it's not digitalized, it's manual. True that. So we are actually going to go to court for asking for a centralized system so that we know if my license is used in this place, if somebody else applies with the same license, they are not given permission. We need strict regulation.
True that.
Because public health is at risk.
Like, you come from a family background which has several doctors. So like, could you explain us, was taking up MBBS a childhood dream or it came out of consequence?
It's a tough question. There was conditioning because my parents were both doctors. My mom was a very successful gynecologist, a gold medalist, and my father was a pharmacologist. He was working in the medical college till retirement. Achha. And it was kind of understood. Everybody assumed that I would be a doctor, and being the rebel that I was, I resisted and I said that I didn't want to be a doctor for the longest, and I enjoyed languages. So I wanted to become a writer or a journalist. Interesting. And I was a big fan of courtroom drama. So I also wanted to be a lawyer. But I loved math and physics. So I thought maybe that. But finally, I think my love for sciences and the examples that my parents set, that led me to medicine.
Was there any pressure from your parents?
Not at all.
Your relatives per se? Like, many times it happens in Indian families, like when the parents are doctors, they take it for granted, even the child. Okay, Rajetha, you'll also become a doctor, no anyways. Like, it's like they don't give you an option also.
Absolutely, which was why I resisted it. But I'm glad I didn't refuse to become a doctor because of this. So my son is in law school and everybody assumed that he would be a doctor. Right. But I think that was one of the reasons he didn't become a doctor, because everybody assumed that he would. Yeah. So, but what you said about Indian families is so true. But finally, I was, I think, destined to be a doctor. I enjoy my work so much that there are times when I'm so grateful that I get paid to do this. Because, when you enjoy what you do, it feels like a lifelong holiday. It's
right.
Yeah. Nothing, so I'm blessed.
Yeah, nothing could be more blissful than doing what we love, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah, ma'am. Having said that, like, when I was going through your profile, it says that you were a student of JIPMER and also Madras Medical College.
Correct.
Like, these are some of the prominent medical colleges per se. So were you always a topper from school, or how was it like?
I was a selective topper till a certain age. I would top only math and sciences. And I was terrible at Hindi. So I barely scraped through. But by the time I kind of got into high school, I was pretty much doing very well academically. But I peaked in inter time, which is something that a lot of people don't. You shouldn't peak too early also. So my parents gave me a lot of freedom. So I would read a lot of novels and watch lots of movies, and you know how Telugu families are. Every weekend we had to watch a movie in the theater, and
it's something like a compulsive phenomenon.
Absolutely. So I did all that, and yet I managed to get into JIPMA through the Open General. So, and it didn't feel like work. It felt like I was enjoying the whole process of studying as well as the rest of my childhood.
Right. I think that is something that the youngsters need to take a cue from. Like when you do something which you are enjoying, you don't feel the pressure.
Absolutely.
Like in the competitive exam sphere, like people preparing for medical entrance or, IITs or for that matter, UPSC. So it's a sense of pressure that is created either by themselves or through the society. But going by what you're saying, if you enjoy the process, it is, something that goes very smooth.
But one thing I have to tell you about my father, he was ahead of his times. And what he gave me was a confidence.
Okay.
So he always made me believe in myself that, if not you, then who else will get through this? So that kind of a thing.
That patting on the back.
And I think I was also lucky that I could get through this whole thing without the parental pressure, because my parents always gave me this impression that whatever I did, they would still love me.
Right.
And that is something that I see lacking sometimes these days.
True
that somewhere the achievement and the love we give to a child are kind of linked, and I don't think that should be the case.
Right. The kind of pressure. And also many a times, parents compare their wards or their children to somebody else, like either their neighbors or their relatives. That guy is doing so and so thing, so you also shall pursue, and that creates an artificial pressure on the kid per se.
Very true. So I was an only child, so that way comparisons were not there. My mom was quite fond of comparing me with everybody else, but my dad somehow made me believe that I was unique, and I think that helped me more than anything else, because every child is unique. Why should they be compared with anybody else?
Right, ma'am. Like after you pursued your MBBS, then for the specialization.
Yeah.
So any specific reason that you chose dermatology? So any significant influence or any circumstantial reason for it? So
dermatology was not my first choice.
Okay.
So right after internship, I took up gynecology. My mom was a hugely successful gynecologist.
Right.
This was the year 1999, and this infertility treatments, what they used to call test tube babies. Now we refer to them as IVF.
Yeah.
So those were just coming into India, and it seemed very exciting. So that was what I wanted to do. And then after 3 months of MD Obs-Gynae, obstetrics and gynecology in JIPMA, which was one of the best places to do it, I realized that I was not cut out for it. In fact, in the first month itself, I realized, so what I need in my life, I don't mind the work. I am capable of doing long hours of work. Even now, on an average, I work 13, 14 hours a day.
13, 14
and
hours.
6 days a week. And it's absolutely normal for me.
That's quite amusing, actually. Because people think like once you are successful or get into MBBS or, become a good doctor, life would be very blissful. But the, people out there must realize that even after you get into the professional per se, the actual test starts.
Absolutely. The real life is the real test, because when you're a student, you'd be free by 4:30, and then of course you have to study, but you do it on your own terms. Here, I don't have much of a choice. If the list has 75 patients a day and they're coming and sitting there waiting for me, then I better see them on time and better deliver whatever it is that they need. So, but luckily I don't feel the pressure. I feel that it is a privilege to be treating all of them. So that way, but it's not easy. It's physically taxing. It's mentally also not easy.
Yes. So what drives you, ma'am? Whenever you, it's like physically, it's a challenging thing.
It is.
Yeah. So what drives you? There could be long hours of, professional work, and then, you also have the personal errands to attend to. So you need to strike a balance of many worlds per se. But what is that motivating factor per se?
So the sheer pleasure that work gives me, it's almost abnormal. So I was taking care of a chain of corporate clinics. And at one point, my boss asked me, he was a little worried that I might leave. So he said, Dr. Rajetha, are you sure we are being compensated adequately? Then I said something very stupid, something that no one should tell their boss. I said, I love this job so much that if I had to pay to do this job, I would. I mean, obviously, I never got a raise, but
Go ahead.
but that I think the sheer pleasure and also the knowledge and awareness that I am helping people
Right.
change their lives. Somebody comes with whether it is acne or hair loss or an itchy condition or psoriasis or atopic dermatitis, severe eczemas, there's some life-threatening conditions. So dermatology gives us the whole variety.
Yeah.
We have diagnostic challenges, we have treatment challenges. I'd like to call myself a procedural dermatologist, not just an aesthetic or a cosmetic dermatologist.
Right.
So there's the thrill of doing, there's the thrill of thinking and, just prescribing and then seeing patients go through their lives. I have had patients who are growing old with me. I've seen them as young, yet to be married girls, and now they have 2 kids each, and then they bring their children. And so it's a lovely journey.
Bond.
Yeah, it is. It is almost like a lifelong relationship that I form with certain patients.
Yes, ma'am. Like coming to becoming a doctor in dermatology, like people say in common parlance, a skincare specialist or skincare doctor, right? Derma is something we have to speak in a technical sense. So when a patient comes, they expect the doctor also to be beautiful, or not just beautiful, or how we can put it as somebody who's who's good with the presentation, etc. So was there any kind of pressure that you face? The pressure to look perfect, to seem perfect, to be perfect, etc.
No, not at all, because when I took up dermatology, social media was not there. So I joined dermatology in 2000.
Right.
And social media is a very recent phenomenon. I think post-COVID, it all blew up.
Right.
So most dermatologists even today don't really dress up for work. We in fact dress down for work because it is work.
Yes.
But that said, it is unfortunate that patients think that, dermatologists need to have good skin, good hair. If you have it, it's fine. And most dermatologists do have reasonably good skin and hair. But what if you're not genetically blessed? That's not your fault.
Right.
So that's not fair.
That's absolutely right, ma'am. But what they presume is even the presentation, people, they expect the dermatologist to have a flawless skin.
Absolutely.
Or, very well prepared, etc. Very well dressed, makeup and stuff like that. So that pressure was never there on your part.
No, not at all. See, all this pressure is there only if you allow it to get there.
Yes.
So, and I think, arrived at this point. By that time, I was already well past 40s. So, at that age, you're not going to really change because some social media person wants you to. Whereas if I were, now entering practice, I think I would feel it because I see it in my younger colleagues.
Yeah.
So they have to, put in that effort. And in fact, my friends keep scolding me that, how can you go like this to work? So I'm okay. I mean, how does it matter? Anyway, I'm wearing my white coat.
The more comfortable you are, the better you have at the workplace.
So on mornings, we start early. 9 o'clock is the first appointment.
Right.
So there isn't a lot of time and motivation. And if you want to exercise and go to work, then it's that much harder.
True.
But yes, patients have a sense of confidence in the doctor who walks the talk.
Absolutely.
So I don't think it matters.
That's what matters, actually.
I don't think it matters whether I'm wearing lipstick or makeup to work.
Yeah.
But if I seem like I'm not taking care of myself, if I don't seem like I'm eating right and exercising, somewhere when I'm saying these things to the patients,
yes,
I will lack the conviction to say it confidently.
True that.
I am able to, in fact, one of the reasons I go to the gym and do my strength training is so that I can speak with honesty and conviction when I talk to my patients.
Right.
And I don't drink at all, zero alcohol. I've never smoked, though most people of my generation, women didn't. So, it just makes it easy for me to say these things to my patients.
I think this is the line of thought which is required. What we speak, what we preach, that we need to practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what drives you, ma'am? Usually a lot of doctors, they're happy with their practice, whether they're getting sufficient income or not. Now you have taken up something called as activism, public awareness, and it is not just the fight legally.
Yeah.
You're doing kind of organizing various seminars, interacting with people, generating awareness, even like through media, through various platforms. It does take a lot of effort. People might just see that event per se, the awareness event, but there's a lot of background effort that is put into it. So what drives you towards all this? And in spite of so much of effort, you see sometimes it seems futile. Don't you feel like in spite of me doing certain things, it's rampant, AVR, OTC is rampant, steroids are being sold rampantly, and people just following some social media influencers, they're going to quacks, etc.
Yeah.
So don't you feel dejected at times?
Not usually. I think people who get into activism are made of hard stuff. So otherwise we wouldn't be doing this.
DNA.
Some kind of mutant variant, you can call it. Because a lot of my friends keep telling me that, you have this fantastic, successful practice and a very nice family, and why don't you want to spend time with them? Of course I do, but then I also am very conscious of the fact that I've lived most of my life. I'm going to be 50 this year, and I want to, when the first day in JIPMA, we had to go and introduce ourselves and say why we were there. And I said, I'm here because I want to change the world. So in my small way, it sounds very maybe silly, super ambitious, almost narcissistic. But yeah, there is something else beyond our limited sphere of influence that I want to create change in. And that is what drives me. And it doesn't matter how many thousands of rude, nasty comments are there. It doesn't matter how many more quacks are going to keep coming up. We're not going to give up. And
in fact, they've started counter movements also.
Yes, of course.
Because the business is going to be affected. Their illegal practices are going to be affected. The frauds are going to be exposed. Yes. So they have started a smear campaign per se.
Of course, and there is a criminal case against me in one Noida court. So that also was filed by a forensic odontologist who runs a unethical training association called Quackery. So they, all these kind of things, because basically he's been fooling these young gullible dentists, BDS people, into paying him lakhs of rupees and getting their trainings and all those kind of things. So there are criminal
these
cases.
Don't break your resolve.
Oh no, they just make them stronger. We are you need to be slightly mad, I think, to get into these things. Yeah, you're definitely a maverick.
Fantastic. Kudos to your efforts into generating awareness against quackery, ma'am. Moving on from quackery, like many doctors, they're happy with the practice, right? Or they're running their own clinics, etc.
Yeah.
Small setup. Now you are also a docpreneur, the new term per se, like entered into entrepreneurship. So how come the shift, like, from a doctor to entrepreneur?
I'm not sure if I qualify as one because I have a single clinic. Of course, it's a big clinic. It's a 10,000 SFT clinic. I have.
It certainly involves a lot of management.
Yes, it does. It does.
Staffing.
Absolutely.
Team in place. Several teams in place, not a single team in place.
So I had a great training ground.
Many people just prefer to work in somebody else's clinic or corporate hospital. Now you setting up your own clinic per se also is going to involve a lot of management as well as administrative activities.
So I was kind of forced into it. I wanted only a 9 to 4 teaching job and time to do things other than work. But then I got involved into this, and this is a bit of an addiction. This is like, I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
So it's easy. And when you want things a certain way, then you can't tell the employer to buy a 1 crore laser, because then they will want certain returns and all, and then I would want to do it in my terms, and so it was kind of a natural thing. And I had a great training ground because I was in charge of a chain of clinics, and we took it up till they became 30 clinics. So I could kind of evolve with the field, and I started.
So it's almost like 30 clinics.
Yeah. So I started at age 32 when we had 3 clinics, and then slowly we grew up to 30 over a period of 12 years or so. So it was a gradual process, and I learned a lot of things about HR, about inventory management.
You did not do any course per se, but
no,
it was the
learned on the job
learning.
No, so by training, I am a writer of prescriptions and a doctor, but then the rest of it I did learn on the way. And a lot of these training aspects also I was keenly interested in. So that is something that I spend a lot of time on.
I was just reading about you also train a lot of doctors.
Yes, I do.
So how exactly is your training module designed, ma'am? Very briefly.
Okay, I train only dermatologists,
Yeah.
a disclaimer there.
Yes.
So, and I train them mainly in procedural dermatology.
Okay. What is procedural
So, procedural
dermatology?
dermatology is where we are doing either lasers or peels or something called dermatosurgery. Again, I don't do hair transplant, but I do, apart from that, I do a lot of other dermatological surgery. So, the hair transplant stuff, I delegate because if you're not great at something, I believe it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
And when there's someone great at it, then I might as well delegate to them. So I have modules for, let's say, a 3-month fellowship kind of a thing or a observership kind of a thing I do have. So where they shadow me, and then they also have these theory sessions, and then they have their hands-on sessions on fillers, on what people know as Botox, but there are various other brands, and then skin quality injectables. People call them skin boosters, hyaluronic acid injectables, to various lasers, Q-switch lasers, pico lasers, laser hair reduction, scar lasers, and microneedling, radiofrequency, anti-aging treatments, this whole thing. And one of my other areas of interest is the interface between skin and hormones.
Okay.
We call it dermatoendocrinology. Interface.
Right.
So the PCOS, insulin resistance, thyroid disorders, because in an average day in my clinic,
we need to discuss about it elaborately.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Eventually,
So in an average day in my practice, I would diagnose at least 8 to 10 new patients of PCOS and 4 to 5 new patients of hypothyroidism. This is an average day.
Okay.
So like that, over the years, we would have diagnosed so many more. And these are people who come to us with skin and hair problems, typically hair loss or adult acne, or acne that's not responding to the usual measures, or unwanted hair in women, these kind of things.
Yes, ma'am. Amazing to know that. And like coming to this phenomena or the psyche in India, like they think that doctors doing business is something not acceptable.
Yeah.
So like eventually, like as part of your practice and also establishing your own clinic, which is which is having a significant presence. So did you ever face this dilemma where to draw the line between doctors talking business?
Not really, because mostly, we don't think of it as business. We are professionals. And of course, we pay commercial rates for electricity and all the other things. So the government thinks of it as a business. And we have our, our GST and the legal requirements, statutory requirements we have to fulfill. But there was no real dilemma there. The problem comes when doctors want to market themselves, and there is this distinction, because doctors are forbidden from marketing, whereas the corporates are not forbidden from marketing. So it's a slightly dicey situation there. Now, I don't have any marketing at all, so there's no problem for me.
True that.
Only the negative marketing by the quacks, which actually, it's very strange. So when the dentist doctor controversy happened, there was a lot of attack on my clinic Google rating, which was the only social media presence they could find. And after that, till then, actually, we had terrible ratings. I mean, we used to have terrible ratings about appointment waiting times. You call today, you'll get appointment after 1 month or 2 months, and waiting time in the clinic, and receptionists are not answering the phone, those kind of complaints, because generally the happy people don't write reviews. And generally. So after all this, our rating actually improved. It improved by 0.2, which, poor things, these people who attacked the clinic wouldn't have foreseen.
Yes. In fact, that encouraged genuine patients to give the reviews.
Absolutely. A lot of genuine people came up, and then they started posting good things.
Yeah, because people were posting fake reviews, the genuine reviews have to come in.
But one thing I'll tell, if you find only positive reviews, and if you find someone with very limited experience having numerous reviews, you know where it's coming from. It's fake.
It's a problem. Yeah. Certainly. Ma'am. Moving ahead, like you are a successful doctor and a dermatologist, and also an activist, derm-activist person. Now, what are the challenges that you faced as a woman in this particular field?
So, regarding the activism part of it, the kind of comments that I was subjected to. So there was a comment about how I studied MBBS in Manipal for 7 years. MBBS is only 4.5 years. And I had multiple boyfriends. Now, if I were a male, would they have said that he studied for 7 years and he had multiple girlfriends? No way. You know the answer to that. And there were comments about the way I looked, to my specs, to my makeup or the lack of it, to menstruation related comments, to some terrible ones in Telugu, which I couldn't, I still have not really deciphered, but I know that they're very, very vulgar. Now, regarding my professional growth or professional journey and my gender, I am subjected to, appearance-based comments. And I am also judged because of the way I look or dress. And I think my abilities are underestimated because of the way I look or dress. And that does not happen to a man. Now, if a man is paying attention to his clothes or his appearance, he would not be, his abilities, professional abilities would not be underestimated. Whereas for women, you think, oh, she's very much into fashion, or she has these fancy bags, so that means she's probably not very competent in what she does. That kind of a judgment follows.
Yeah, such kind of prejudice. Yeah, uncalled for prejudice.
Yeah.
It also becomes very emotionally taxing when we kind of hear this thing. The patient should be worried about how we are treating, rather than a physical experience.
This generally does not come from patients. This comes from peers.
Oh, yeah.
This is patients almost once in a while. Yeah, I've had this kind of, I remember one patient who said that, are you this person we waited to meet for so long? Because the appointment waiting time, those days was some 15 days or so. Now it's around a month or so. So then I said, yes, I am Dr. Rajetha. Then they said, you look very young. So there, that looking young was a negative.
Even I face it many times.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, no, but it's interesting that even men face that. So then he said, this elderly gentleman, that, I've been to 24 doctors already. You're the 25th. And I said, don't worry, I'll probably going to be the last dermatologist you're going to go to. And then I forgot about it. And later on, he had something called pemphigus, and he was in a very bad shape. Later on, his wife reminded me about this, and later on, actually, he did very well, and I don't need to see him any longer.
Many times, the peers or the patients also, doubt a woman doctor's competence. Which is not the same when it comes to the male counterparts.
I believe this is much more in surgical specialties. I hear that quite a bit. Except in, probably obstetrics and gynecology, this kind of bias is there. I hear it from my female friends who are surgeons.
And coming to women doctors, ma'am, there's also a stereotype that women do not support the other woman. Does it happen in your case as well?
So I think it was true at some point of time, partially. Now I think this generation and even my generation is overcome that, or maybe we never had it. I think we women are much more supportive of other women than men support us.
Right.
So
yeah, good to know that, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. On a conclusion,
that stereotype about women being very jealous and then saying nasty things,
cat fights kind of
those kind of things. No, I don't think that's relevant at all. In fact, I have we call it a tribe, we women. So of course we have many male friends, many male colleagues who are supportive, but we women tend to stick together, and it's a very strong bond,
which is very much necessary and essential as well.
Because the men bond all the time. So it's time women did that, and women are doing it. And in fact, younger dermatologists actually have started this group practice concept. Earlier, they would be very threatened, at least that's what...
Insecure.
Yeah. Now, I think this generation is very, very smart. They've overcome all those insecurities, and they're getting the best of all the worlds.
Ma'am, is there any message that you'd like to give the general audience and the patients per se?
Yeah.
We've discussed a plethora of issues when it comes to medical profession, quackery, and also steroids, etc.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific that you want the audience to be aware about?
Sure. So if you go to a healthcare provider, any specialty, but particularly if it is a dermatologist, please do your due diligence, do your homework, look for the registration number on the prescription, go to the website of the State Medical Council, see if this person is authentic.
Right.
Because you want to take charge of your health and your family's health. Second thing, when you follow someone on social media, if it is fashion advice or if it is makeup advice, I don't mind. But if it is health related advice, then please make sure you are listening to the right people, that their credentials are beyond their looks and the way they see.
Right. Thank you so much for this insightful conversation, ma'am. Like a lot of things which we are not aware about, we got to know about those real challenges. And this will certainly spread a sense of awareness for those people who do not know the real stuff, or when it is necessary to go to a dermatologist, but they end up going to a quack. That will save their health, energies, as well as significant financial troubles.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
This was my pleasure.
Thank you.